Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharad Kutan. With me, Senator Ti Lian Ker from MCA. He's also, of course, a member of the Dewan Negara. Let's talk about Barisan Nasional. MCA, because the founding party with the alliance, there was MIC, MCA and UMNO. They were, central to the formation of that particular coalition. And then, of course, after 69, when we returned to parliamentary democracy after a brief hiatus, MCA is still there as a central plank of the Barisan Nasional coalition. Now, the question today is the Barisan Nasional dead? Officially, it's not. It's got your party, MIC, MyPP, maybe or not. I don't know what the status of MyPP is. And then, of course, it's got UMNO there. Then there's PAS. How do you see this recent kind of coming together of UMNO and PAS? And do you think it derails the Barisan Nasional spirit?
You see, we must first acknowledge the political ecosystem in our country. I think MCA founders from the very start, they are supportive of on Hussein, on
Jaafar,
Jaafar,
on Ben Jaafar,
Jaafar, when he wanted a multiracial party.
Right, Parti Negara.
Parti Negara.
Okay.
But ultimately, they make a decision to work with UMNO because of the reality that Parti Negara do not have the multiracial support. So that is political electorate cooperation. And by doing so, MCA managed to filter or to soften down the UMNO's nationalism along race. And that time religion doesn't come into play yet. So ultimately, Barisan Nasional is a concept, is actually a political cushion, whereby we sit together and we lash out and we fight it out and we come to a consensus. Unfortunately, somewhere in the 80s, it becomes UMNO-centric, and that is is actually very much due to Mahathir's leadership himself. He somehow has transformed Barisan Nasional to be UMNO-centric.
Was it also to do with the fact that at that point, MCA didn't have the monopoly of Chinese support? It had a contender within the Barisan Nasional in the form of Gerakan based in Penang. It also had to contend with the DAP that was doing very well in Chinese majority seats in urban centers. I mean, wasn't that always the problem with MCA, that for the longest time that you had to contend that you're not the only voice of the Chinese community?
Yeah, there is a divide and rule sort of thing going on for the Chinese political voice. And like it or not, MCA has never, because MCA is actually a transformation of Kuomintang. DAP is more socialist, more communism sort of thing. I think a lot of leftists, a lot of blue-collar workers, their sentiment is very much with DAP. And even at one stage, you put anybody there, they will just vote rocket. So the only time the Chinese votes come back to support MCA is during the Indonesia-Malaysia confrontation, aftermath of May 13, the economic crisis where there was rape, abuse in Indonesia, etc. So it's always when there is a crisis, people come back to MCA to give the support because of that security. They want that blanket of security. But to put it this way, in actual fact, MCA has never commanded the majority support of the Chinese community. There is always this, the Chinese wanted a check and balance. The Chinese have this distrust on the government. This is very much the political psyche of the Chinese. They do not want absolute power because maybe in their ancient experience and literature, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and there is always hardship, etc. I think so. Coming back to that, MCA is seen as the establishment. MCA is seen to be, they need to have a check and balance, and DAP comes into that play. That DAP is the check and balance.
Okay, so let's just accept that premise. The question is today, with the configuration that there is, UMNO cooperation with PAS on one hand, and yet, within the Barisan Nasional still MIC and MCA representing the two other major minority communities. What leverage do you have? You say MCA plays the moderating role. What leverage do you have when you don't actually have parliamentary heft, when you don't have the ability to say we can mobilize the Chinese community for electoral purposes? What isn't UMNO dominance going to continue?
That is where we want Barisan Nasional for consensus. As long as any component party do not agree, it cannot be adopted if Barisan Nasional is the government. It's like RUU 355. I still remember when Zahid, as a deputy prime minister, make his statement openly in Terengganu as a testing ground that the government will adopt RUU 355.
This was the amendments to the Sharia Act,
Sharia Act.
that will allow for hudud punishment.
Yes,
okay.
and I insisted that UMNO cannot make the decision. It has to come to Barisan Nasional. Because
but is that how UMNO sees it, though?
No, but ultimately, they follow. They call for the Barisan Nasional meeting, and it was rejected.
But today, with UMNO and PAS cooperating and seeming to be doing well in electoral terms, won't UMNO be listening to the voices of PAS more than they will to their other, coalition, formal coalition members?
I think the political terrain have changed. Nowadays, we have many liberal, moderate thinking Malays who are able to break away. And if MCA can continue to play the moderating role, I think within UMNO itself, within PAS, there are many moderate thinking people. They may have subscribed to the Islamic ideology, they may subscribe to the race ideology, but they want a more inclusive, sort of a more plural sort of ideology. And I think what we have to do is to contribute towards a new ideology, political ideology, such that this force will be a Barisan conservative. We are conservative. We talk along race, religion, but we talk and we come to a compromise. If we can establish that, then on the other side, no race, no religion. Anything goes. So what they promise and what they do, the people can have a choice to choose between the liberals and the conservative. And having said that,
so when you say conservative and you're saying, acknowledging race and religion, do you mean allowing for hudud? Do you mean allowing for a greater role in the policing of people's private morality? I mean, what exactly do you mean by conservatism?
MCA has always been not agreeable to hudud. We have always said that this is a secular country. This the constitution, the federal constitutions prevail. When we say that conservative, meaning we fight it out. We don't agree. This is a no-no. And as long as PAS can agree to that, then we can say that, okay, we can talk.
Right. With the Pakatan Rakyat at least, there was a common policy platform which PAS signed on to. This is PAS before it split between Amanah and the current mother party, as it were. And it was very clear what those common ground were. And there was no hudud in that. Does Barisan
I have to correct you that Guaning actually signed to allow them to have hudud in their states, if PAS rule states.
Well, okay. Well, I don't remember that, but
yes.
Let's just put it this way. So you're saying that MCA would agree to that too. It would agree to a common policy that would include hudud in those states run by Barisan Nasional.
No, as long as it contradicts the spirit of the Constitution, the federal Constitution. The federal Constitution prevails, and I think there's no place for hudud in the federal Constitution.
Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned to Let's Talk.